Hello guys, welcome. Today let's learn about light, shadow and reflections. We see the objects around us. How is it possible? It is because the presence of light. The torch bulb is an object that gives light of its own. So we get the light of its own from the torch bulb. And also the sun gives or emits its own light in the daytime. So in the daytime we get the light from the sun. Sun is the main source of light. Also the torch is another source of light. What is luminous object then? Luminous objects are those which emits their own light. Means we get the light from itself. For example, the sun. The sun is the luminous object. So, is paper an example for luminous object? No. Paper does not emit the light of its own. So, mirror, is it a luminous object? No, mirror reflects the light. It does not produce its own light. So the luminous objects are those which emits or gives its own light. Now let us learn about transparent, opaque and translucent objects. So what is transparent object? What is opaque and translucent objects? Let us see. If we cannot see through the objects, that objects are known as opaque object. O-P-A-Q-U-E, opaque object. So, if we are able to see clearly through an object, it is allowing to pass the light through it. It is called transparent object. So, from which the object we cannot see clearly or we cannot see anything at all, that objects are known as opaque objects. And the objects from which we can see clearly is known as transparent objects. There are some objects through which we can see but not very clearly. Such objects are known as translucent. For this, let us classify some of the objects around us and transfer or classify them as opaque, transparent and translucent. So let us classify all these objects I have found around me as opaque, transparent and translucent. First, eraser. Can you see anything from this side to this side? No, you cannot see. This is an example for opaque object. This is a plastic cover and you can see the rubber from this side to that side, isn't it? So this is a transparent material or a transparent object. You can see the object from this side to that side. This cardboard, we cannot see through this cardboard. So this cardboard is an opaque object. We cannot see through this side to other side or any side of the object. This is made up of a plastic material and also we can see through this. You can see my hand through this scale. So this shows that this is a transparent material or a transparent object. So this paper cup, you cannot see through this, is it? So this is also an example for opaque objects. You cannot see through this object. But you can see through the paper. You can see some of the words written over here. So, is paper opaque substance or is it a translucent substance or is it a transparent? Let us know your answer by commenting. So, from the activity, we classified the objects as transparent, opaque and translucent objects. All these objects are opaque. We cannot see through them. This cardboard, ruler, eraser and a paper cup. All these are opaque substance or opaque objects. Whereas these two are classified under transparent objects. We can see through these objects. And the paper, let us know your answer. Now, we have a question here. What exactly are shadows? Let us know by doing an activity. Let's do an activity and see the shadows of these objects. We will take a candle and see the shadows formed by all these objects. So for this object, the shadow formed you can see is a circular. See the shadow formed on the wall. It is looking like a cylinder, but actually it is a hollow cylinder. You can see the different shadow forms from this object. Now the paper cup, you can see the shadow formed over there. It is like a square. Observe. You can see the shadow is actually the bigger in size compared to the object we have placed, isn't it? So if we change the direction, you can see the size of the shadow varies. It depends on how far the object is placed. You can see the shadow is getting decreased when I move far away from the candle. So if I keep closer, you can see the shadow is bigger. Similarly, let's see the shadow of this ball. You can see on the wall a thread is moving as I am moving this pendulum. You can see it looks like a pendulum in the shadow. It is actually a ball and a thread. In the back you can see it is looking like a pendulum, isn't it? So this shows that the shadows can sometimes mislead us. You can see the shadow behind it. It's looking like a moving pendulum, isn't it? This will lead us, sometimes mislead us to the object which exactly it is. You can also see the shadow formed over here. The shape of the eraser is formed as you can see. So, from the above activity, we came to know that the shadows are formed when the light passes through them. But we have one more question. So, from a dark room or in a dark room at night, can you see your shadow? Why can't we see our shadow at dark room or at night? That is because we need a source of light and an opaque object to see a shadow. So from all this activity we can finally conclude that the source of light and an opaque object is necessary to get a shadow. Sometimes shadow can also mislead us about the shape of an object. For example, suppose you are in a dark place and you see a rope. So in a dark room, sometimes that rope visible you like a snake. So that rope, which is just a rope, you misleaded it into a snake. So sometimes shadows can mislead us about the shape of the object. So just by seeing the shadows, we cannot always say that that object is that exact object. It may mislead us. So for one more activity, for example, let's consider a long tube, straight tube and a candle. So when you have a long straight tube, when you see from here, you can see the candle visible. But when you bend the tube, can you see this candle? Observe this activity by doing yourself, and when you observe from here, as this tube is bent, you cannot see the candle because the light travels along a straight line. So as this was a straight tube, you can observe the candle very easily. As the tube is bent here, you cannot see the object which is placed at the other side of the tube. So this activity can show us that light travel along a straight line. Let's see about one more topic, that is mirror and reflections. For that we will do some activity with mirrors. First, what is mirror? You can see the mirror has one side like this and the other side will be coated like this. So, when the light falls on the mirror, it is reflected. So, this mirror reflects the light in other direction. Mirror changes the direction of the light that falls on it. Let us see this by an activity. Let's do one more activity. In this, we will see how the mirror reflects light in other direction. As you can see, when I place this mirror in this position, observe the white paper. You can see the light which is falling on this mirror is reflecting on that screen. You can see the square formed over here and it's moving when I move this mirror. This shows that the light reflects and changes the direction of the light. So you can change the direction of the light when the light falls on this mirror. Observe. You can see the white square on that paper which I have placed at certain distance. So this shows the reflection of light when it falls on mirror. So along with that, let us do one more activity with a comb and a mirror. The light travels and gets reflected from a mirror in a pattern which will be shown in the activity. Let us see. For this activity, we will take a comb, a paper and a mirror and a torch or source of light. So when I keep the comb in this direction and you can see when the torch is on, the lines are formed. Observe the lines formed. It is getting reflected from that mirror and you can see the pattern formed on the paper. You can see the pattern formed when the light passes through this comb and get reflected back from the mirror. This shows that light travels in a straight line. Observe the pattern formed. You can see the pattern. It shows light travels in a straight line. Hope you have understood the pattern which is formed due to traveling of light passing through a mirror. From this chapter, we can finally conclude that light, shadows and reflections. Shadows and reflections are also a part of light. So, to see the objects around us, we need light, and we learnt about transparent, opaque and translucent objects. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, like, share and subscribe Gyan Galaxies for more videos. Thank you.